Alright, welcome to Checker Quantics. In this tutorial, I'll be putting us through how to draw a network diagram using the critical path method. Alright, like we always do, we'll reference some of these questions to the Nigerian Institute of Quantity Surveyors Test for Professional Competence Examination. The same thing as this one, and it's just for relatability and for us to have a real life problem to use to explain these concepts. Now I have this question here, this question 2b. I had to bring it out to MS Word because I couldn't get it done properly on Excel. This is a question here. Alright, let me drag this up a little. You can see, right? Nigerian Institute of Quantity Surveyors. This is question number 2. Alright, in one of our previous videos, we did that for project evaluation and review technique, PERT, right? This we'll be looking at critical path method here. And this is question number 2b. Question number 2 is talking about the difference between PERT and CPM. Alright, if time permits me, I will just brief on it before the end of this video. Alright, now this is what we have. I had to bring the question from here down to here so I can I'll be able to draw the network diagram effectively. Alright, so it says the table below represents the activities of work package in construction project, in a construction project, I think so. Use the information on the table to draw a network diagram for the project. Right, compute the earliest and latest start and finish times for each activity. Then we have to identify the critical path on the project and estimate the project duration. And basically, if you see what we have here, now if you remember in PERT, project evaluation and review technique, we have 3 different estimates. That's one of the difference. This one is a definite time estimate. The other one uses an estimated time duration, where you have 3. You have the pessimistic, the optimistic, and the what's it called again? You have the optimistic, you have the pessimistic, and you have M. What's M called again? Most likely, right? I got it. I remember it. Most likely time. All right. So quickly, we'll just go ahead. So these are the activities: A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. These are the time duration. Now these are the predecessors. Remember, predecessors are what comes before, right? Successors are what comes after. So because we'll be using those two terminologies often, predecessors and successors. So quickly, we want to draw the network diagram. First, that is the first thing, right? I already did that for easy explanation and to save time also. All right, this is basically what we're referring back to what we have there. Now if you come back to this question here, this is activity A. This is a dash here. It means activity A does not have any predecessor. It doesn't have any activity coming before it. So activity A is the start activity, or activity B has A as predecessor. That means A is coming before B. So A is a predecessor to B, while B is a successor activity to A. A means it's coming before, B means it's coming after. All right, I hope that concept is clear. Now activity C has A also as predecessor, so it means we have to execute activity A before C. Now see here, D has C and B as predecessor, right? So to C and B, D is a successor activity, right? So I have to execute C and B before I can execute D. Activity E has C as a predecessor, so I have to execute activity C before activity E. The same thing with F and the same thing with all other activities here. So let's see how we present them in the network diagram. Now activity A has a duration of 5. Right? Alright, this is what is activity A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. Alright, depending on how you want to draw your network. So activity A has a duration of 5. Alright, this is what we have in the question here. Alright, it has no predecessor. It has no activity coming before it. You see my cursor here. No activity coming before. Right, every other thing comes after A. Okay. Alright, activity B has A as predecessor. Activity C has A also as predecessor. It means both of A comes before B, A comes before C. Alright, see what we have here. This is activity B, has A as predecessor coming before it. Activity C also has A as predecessor coming before it. I hope that is clear. Alright, they both have, this has a duration of 10, this has a duration of 12. Alright, now let's go, we've done that. Let's go to the next activity. D has C and B as predecessor. Activity D has C and B as predecessor. Now let's see what we have here. This is activity D, right? This is activity B, this is activity C. D has these two as predecessor. What it means is this: I need to execute activity B and activity C before I can execute activity D, right? It's just practical. Take for instance, if I want to run a project on a virgin land, I have to clear, right? Clearing might be activity A. If I don't clear, I cannot remove, I cannot excavate, right? And in some cases, if I don't clear, except I'm working with a machine, a bulldozer, and I do the clearing and the topsoil at the same time. But if not, I have to clear, then I have to do topsoil, and then before I start my excavation. Alright, so both D has B and C as predecessors. Now D has a duration of 4. Alright, this is what we have here. Activity E has C as predecessor. Right, so C has to come before E. The same thing with F. They both have duration of 8 and 10. Last year we have both E has C as predecessor. F also has C as predecessor. See what we have here. This is E, this is F. Now see activity C. Right, they both come before, it comes before activity E and F. So E and F are successor activities to activity C, because they come after activity C. Why C is a predecessor to both E and F. Now you see arrows from C to E, arrow from C to F. Alright, they both have duration of 8 and 10. E and F, I hope that is correct. 8 and 10. So activity G has D and E as predecessor. G has D and E as predecessor. Now let's see how it's gonna use activity G. This activity D, this activity E. Right, they both have this as predecessor. Now you see what we have here. Right, this activity D is activity E, and activity G, the duration is 10. All right, now let's go to the next activity. H has B as predecessor. H has B as predecessor. See activity B here. Right, we have G, this activity H, so it has B as predecessor. See what we have here. Alright, now we have activity I has E and F. I has E and F as predecessor. I have JH, this is activity I, this is E, and this is F. I has these two as predecessor. So E and F has I as successor. Pre means the what comes before. Successor means what comes after. I wanted to say suck. Successor is what comes after. Alright, okay, now let's see the last one here. Last activity here is activity J has HIG as predecessor. Right, now let's see just the last activity is activity J has HING as predecessor. Alright, so it's important you get to know predecessor and successor activities. Very important. And of course, when you have a network, when you have a question, a network diagram, basically you're going to see the predecessors, what comes before, what comes before, what comes before. It aids you to draw the network diagram. All right, quickly, we already have their time. Now the next question says we've drawn the network diagram. It's a compute the earliest and latest time finish for the activities. All right, now these are their time durations. The one in the middle is the duration you have in the question. All right, now I said we should compute the earliest time and the latest time. Right, now this is the early start of this activity, that's 0. Right, this is the duration, this is the early finish. Right, now early finish is duration, early start plus duration. I think I wrote that somewhere. Okay, did I? Okay, see, okay, now this is the forward pass. Early start plus duration. Please look at my cursor. Early start plus duration is early finish. This is early start, this is duration, this is early finish. Early start, duration, early finish. Early start, duration, early finish. Let's do the forward pass first, then we'll come to the backward pass. All right, now this is the early start here is 0 because no activity has been done. 0 now plus duration 5 gives me 5. This is the early finish, right? Early finish. All right, now the early finish here becomes the early start for the next activity. Early finish for a preceding activity becomes early start for the successor activity. So here is also 5. That's why you see 5 here, you see 5 here, right? 5 here, early start now becomes early start. So for me to get this early finish, this is early start plus duration. So 5 plus 10 is 15. Here 5 plus 12 is 17. All right, I hope we are getting it. 5 plus 12 is 17. Okay, now remember, the early finish becomes the early start of the next activity. Now I have 15 here, early finish. I have 17 here, early finish. What is, now see both of them, both D has B and C as predecessor. What is now going to be the early start of D? Right, I take the higher duration. Now why am I taking the higher duration? It means this, I take the higher duration because I need to execute the one with the higher time before I can start the next activity. Otherwise, if I say I pick 15 duration, right, I put 15 here, it means I'll be having 2 extra days or weeks as the case may be here, which will be practically impossible. So I need to attend to the higher one before I can start the D activity, because both of them, D is dependent on both of them. All right, I hope that is clear. Don't worry, we're still going to see it and we're going to understand it better. All right, now activity E and F, okay, they both have C as predecessor, right? They both have C as predecessor. So see here, this is 17, and this becomes the early start here, 17. Now you see what we have here. All right, so that is why we have this. You see 17 here, 17. All right, so let's forge ahead. Now we have D, E, F. Okay, let's go activity G. Now activity G, the forward pass for activity G. Okay, we have 17 plus 4 duration, which is 21. 17 plus 8 is 25. 17 here plus duration here 10, that gives me 27. Now activity G has both D and E as predecessor. See the question here. Activity G has D and E as predecessor, right? The question is, what is going to be the early start of activity G? Remember, we'll take the higher one. This is 21 here, early finish here. Early finish here is 25. So I'll take the higher because I need to execute the one with the higher duration before activity G can start. So this is 25. That's why I have 25 here. So 25 plus 10, this is 35. G. Now activity H. Activity H has B as predecessor. Activity H has B as predecessor, right? So that's why you see the early finish here becomes the early start here. 15 plus 4, that gives us 19. Activity I has both E and F as predecessor. Activity I has E and F, and the duration is 5. All right, so I have 27 as an early finish, 25. So I go with the higher one, 27. 27 plus 5, that gives me 32. All right. Now activity J has these 3 as predecessors. I have 19, 35, 32. What becomes my early start for activity J? I go with the higher one, 35. All right. 35 plus 1, that gives me 36. So this is how you run the forward pass. All right. Early start plus duration gives you early finish. Right, this is the formula here. Forward pass, early start plus duration gives you early finish. Now the backward pass. Now this is my early finish. It is my early finish. This is my late finish. Right, we're going backward now. We're going backward. Late finish. This is late start. Early start, late start. Early finish, late finish. All right, I hope that is clear. Now let's look at it. Backward pass. Late finish minus duration gives us late start. I'm just going backward, like going the opposite direction of where I just came from. All right, so 36 minus 1, and everything I'm doing will be just in opposite from what we did when we're coming. When we're coming, we added. Now we're going back, we are going to subtract. So this is 36 minus 1, that gives me 35. This is my late start. All right, now these 3 activities, J here is dependent on these 3 activities. Now we are going backward. Now this 3 activity is dependent on J. All right, so I have 35. See, my late finish here is 35, 35, 35. So 35 minus 4, that gives me 31. 35 minus 10, that gives me 25. 35 minus 5, that gives us 30. All right, so the same way we'll do them one after the other. Now if you come to activity I, activity I has E and F. Right, when we're going, it has them as predecessors. Now they are successors activities. Okay, now this is 27. Okay, I have 30. This is my late start. All right, so that gives me 30 here. All right, that gives me 30 here. All right, that gives us 30 here. All right, so this, you see, this becomes the late start, late finish, right, of this activity. That goes start here. Now if you see, activity E also has G. Now G here has this as a successor, but initially E is a predecessor to G. All right, so we have, see, this is 30, this is 25. When we're doing the forward pass, we took the higher value, but when you're doing the backward pass, you use the lower value. That's why you see 25 here. Activity F only depends on activity I. That is why you see this is 30 here. So please, let's not mix it up. So now 25 minus 8, that gives us 17. All right, okay, this is 35. 35 minus 7, we already did this. 35 minus we already have this. Okay, now this activity F and E. All right, both of them are dependent on activity C during the forward pass. Now activity C is depending on both of them now, because we are doing the backward pass. Okay, we have 25, we have 17 now, and 20 as the late start. 17 and 20. We have 17 and 20. Definitely we are going to be taking the lower value. So this is 17. This gives us 17 here as the late finish for this activity. So 17 minus 5, 12. That gives us 5 here. Now for activity D here, activity D has G as a dependent. Now we're going backward. So activity G has D as as a predecessor. Right, when we're going, G has D as a predecessor. Now we are doing the backward pass. D has G now as a predecessor and not the other way, like G. Did I get that right? D, right, is not a predecessor to G. Before, okay, in the forward pass, G was a predecessor to D. Okay, that's right. All right, so we have 25 minus 4, that gives us 19 as the late start here. Okay, now activity B has H and has D also. All right, so that this becomes, I have 31 here, then I have 19. So 31, 19 goes because it is the lower value. 19 minus 10, that gives me 9. So I have activity B and C. It's 17 minus 12, that gives us 5. And here 19 minus 10, that gives us 9. So 9 here is the late start and 5 here is the late start. All right, so I have 5, I have 9, because A is depending on both of them. Initially both of them are predecessors to A, but now both of them are now successors to A, because A is like a predecessor to them, because we are going back. This we have to execute both B and C before we can execute A. Now because we are going the backward way, we are going the opposite direction. So the lower value goes 5 minus 5, that gives me 0. Now see, we've run the forward pass and the backward pass. All right, that's what we have, a forward and backward pass. Now the next question here says we should compute the earliest and latest time finish. This is what we just did. That's what earliest and latest. So that is what we call the forward and backward path. Now the next question is identify the critical path on the project and estimate the project duration. Now, how do I identify the critical path here? And the critical path is that path that has a zero float. Zero float. Right now, float in a network diagram is the amount of time a particular activity can be delayed without delaying the entire project duration. You get that? Float is the amount of time a particular activity can be delayed without delaying the entire project. That is the float. Alright, now any activity with zero floats, right, is they are on the critical path. Any activity with zero float, they are on the critical path. Now how do I calculate float? Float is simply late start minus early start, or late finish minus early finish. Now what we're doing the wrongs, this is early finish, right? This is late finish. Early start, late start, early start, late start, early finish, late finish. So early finish minus late finish, early start minus late start gives us, anyone that gives us 0 is on the critical path. But of course you can see them. Take for instance 5 minus 5 is 0, 0 minus 0 is 0. Now let me give you another. 17 minus 17 is 0, 5 minus 5 0. If you come here, 17 minus 17 0, 25 minus 25 0. If you come here also, 25 minus 25 0, 35 minus 35 0, 35 minus 35 here 0, 30 minus 36 0. Alright, so basically A, C, E, G, J. I think I did that. Okay, A, C, E, G, J is the critical path because that's the only place where you have a zero float. Now let's try something else. 9 minus 5 is 4, 19 minus 15 is 4. It is not critical. It simply means we still have either four months or 4 weeks or 4 days that this activity can be delayed without it affecting this project duration of 36 weeks or 36 days or 36 months, as the case may be. Right? Okay, now let's see this one. 19 minus 17, that's 2. 25 minus 21, that is 4. Here, 31 minus 15, that is 16. 35 minus 19, that's 14. Alright, so we still have time here to delay this particular activity without it affecting our project duration. So the critical parts A, C, E, G, and J. Alright, now say we should compute the project duration. So on that critical path, I'm going to add the project duration. It will also be the longest path. Take for instance, this is 5 plus 12 plus 8 plus 10 plus 1. Everything gives me 36. Every other path here will not give you 36. Take for instance A, B, D, G, J. Let's pick one. This is 5 plus 10, 15. All right, now see the arrow here, plus 4, that's 19. Now see the arrow here, plus 10, that's 29, plus 1, that's 30. I'll do another one, another path. This okay. Let's say, okay, this is another path. 5 plus 10, 15, 15 plus 4, 19, 19 plus 1, 20. Is another path here. 5 plus 12, that's 17. 17 plus 10, that's 27. 27 plus 5, that is 32. 32 plus 1, that is 33. All right, so the project duration is 36. Now basically this is how you draw a network diagram using the critical path method. As you can see, it is very interesting. PERT and critical path basically have their differences, I will tell you. Now the project evaluation and review technique uses 3 time estimates, right? Why critical path, like we just don't use just 1 time estimate, like you can see here. PERT uses a probabilistic approach. That's why you have 3 different estimates. Why CPM uses a deterministic approach. That's why you see we have just 1 time estimate. All right, and so on and so on. So basically this is how you prepare a network diagram using the critical path method. All right, I hope this helps you professionally and helps you in your academics also. This is Chaka Quantics. If you're yet to subscribe to our YouTube channel, please do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.